Hello class. Today I wanted to go over the topic that we discussed in class on Tuesday, September the 8th. Zoom was working pretty well. There were people who attended through Zoom, and then of course we had students in class, but I forgot to touch or push the record button on Zoom. So I wanted to take a few minutes to go over what we discussed in class. In this class, your major project, your one big assignment will be a research project. So in class on Tuesday, we wanted to talk about what research is. What is research on an academic level? You already perform research in everyday life. You answer questions like, what is the weather? How do I make tacos when you need a recipe of some kind? If you're looking for a job, you want to know who the president of the company is or who the human resources director is. You will look that up. You'll do some research to find the answer to those questions. You'll look on the internet. You'll ask a friend. You'll talk to other experts. Basically, what you're doing is research. So what is research? At its most basic level, research is anything you have to do to find out something you don't already know. It's asking questions in the right place. Research is about acquiring new information or new knowledge. It begins with a gap in your knowledge. For instance, if you want a recipe, you don't know how to make something, let's just say tacos, but so you have a gap between what you want to know and what you currently know. It's also goal-directed. That is, it always begins with a specific question. Again, in this example, how do I make tacos? Your goal is to make tacos, so your question, you start with a question. So, research, our first definition. There are many definitions, but for this class, for this course, the first definition is anything you have to do to find out something you didn't know. And remember, it starts with a question, so our research question definition is, for this course, your one-sentence statement of the thing you don't know that motivates your research. That definition takes in everything that we just discussed, or we just talked about as far as research is concerned. It's a gap in your knowledge, it's goal-oriented, and it starts with a question. All right, so sometimes the answer to your question or the information that you need already exists in one place. It's exactly in the form you need it. Consider this example. Does Columbus, Ohio have a commercial airport? What's the first thing you're going to do? You're going to Google it. You're going to Google that question, and immediately you're going to find the answer to that question. Yes, there is an airport, a commercial airport in Columbus, Ohio. It's a yes or no question. You quickly found the answer. Or you may have to consult more than one source to find the answer. This question asks, do any airlines offer direct flights from Kansas City to Columbus? You're going to have to dig a little deeper to get the answer to that. And it's not going to be the first source that you read. You may have to read several airline pages to find the answer to the question about direct flights. It's not a yes or no question that's going to be immediately answered. You're going to have to kind of dig. Or maybe you have to do just a little bit more digging. What's the best way to get from Kansas City to Columbus, Ohio? Back to our Columbus, Ohio example. This will involve all kinds of other information. You may want to drive, or you may take 6 people with you, or if you fly, how much is it going to cost? You may, on that vein, it may be an economic issue. Is it cheaper to drive or to fly or to take a train? Or maybe you're taking your dog with you. Will the train or the plane let you take your dog? And if so, how do you get a ticket for your dog. So there's a lot more information you're going to have to dig for to get your answer. What you're doing is you're taking all that research information and figuring out the answer to your question. All right, so what's the difference in all these questions, these three different types of research? Well, first of all three questions require information gathering. You're going to have to go somewhere to get the answer. Questions like 1 and 2 are called homework questions. You can find the information pretty quickly, pretty easily. And for homework questions, you can go to a single reference or a single source to answer your question. Question 3 is a research question because the answer comes from gathering the information and then assembling it in a way that's going to give you the answer to your question. All right, so here's the definition of those two. A homework question is a question for which a definite answer exists and can easily be found by consulting the appropriate reference source. There is a definite answer to those first two questions. Yes, there is a commercial airport in Columbus, Ohio. And yes, there are direct flights, although you may have to take a few minutes to figure out which airline that is. They are, you can consult the appropriate reference to answer those questions. And a research question is a question that can be answered through a process of collecting information and then building the answer. What's the best way to get to Columbus, Ohio? You're going to have to collect a bunch of information before you figure out the answer to that question. The research is going to help you come to that conclusion. A second definition of research for this course is the physical process of gathering information and the mental process of deriving the answer to your research question from the information you gather. In other words, research for this course is getting all the information together and then coming up with the answer to your research question. You're going to start with a question that you may not have the answer to. You're going to gather a lot of information about it, and then you're going to come up with your thesis, your statement, your claim. So, what's your research question? In class, we talked about a few examples from these 4 categories, which will be the 4 categories from which you choose your research topic: community, education, environment, and health. You're going to pick a topic that discusses some specific question from each of these 4 categories. For instance, in community, I know what it was. The example we used in class is how can I get the roads in Redfield, Arkansas paved? Some of us in the class live near Redfield and know how the streets, some of the back roads, are either gravel or potholed terribly. So how am I going to get that problem solved? I'll have to do a lot of research. Who do I talk to? How much is it going to cost? Are there people for or against that same thing? I'm going to have to gather a lot of information to come to a conclusion. But my question is very specific about the community, and then again very specific about a specific problem. So this week we're going to be considering your research question. There are a couple of discussion forums on Moodle for this week about the kind of research you've done in the past. Post your response to the discussion prompt first. Should be anywhere from 75 to 100 words, and then respond to at least 2 or 3 of your classmates in the same way. And like I've told them in class, don't post and ghost. When you make your post, go back and check the responses to your post and then have the discussion with those people, with those students. Your first post should be done on both of those today, Wednesday and Thursday, and then your final responses to your classmates should be completed by Sunday. In class on Thursday, we're going to be talking about getting started on your research. So by Thursday, have a question in your mind. Have your research question in mind. We'll talk about those and talk about gathering research for those. Also go and look at the research project preview that's under Module 3. That way you can get a sense and an idea of the project that you're going to be working on throughout the semester in parts. So don't be overwhelmed by the number of pages that are required, because you can work on it in several different chunks. Okay, I know that's a lot of information for one PowerPoint, and if you have any questions, just email me. Thank you.